Greetings viewers and welcome to Odenwald, Orbea. I'm in the Odenwald right now, which is a region in central Germany. It's about 1,000 square miles. It's described as a low mountain region. It's more big hills than low mountain. The highest peak is only 2,000 feet, give or take. And it's very much rolling countryside. It's climbs, it's descents. It's where I do most of my cycling. And this is my Orbea, which some of you will recognise as being an Orbea Gain, Orbea's e-bike, which does not look like an e-bike. It's a D20, which means it has the two most important features I need for here. One being the double front rings, so many gears, and the second one being the excellent hydraulic disc brakes. And these both come in very useful for the many descents and ascents that we have around these parts. The region is sometimes known as the Bergstrasse Odenwald. The Bergstrasse actually sits just at the edge of the Rhine Valley next to the Odenwald. That's where I live. And to get up into the Odenwald, there's a bit of climbing involved. So to get from the Bergstrasse up into the Odenwald, you need to cycle up one of the valley climbs, such as this one. This one's about, 4 kilometres long, average gradient maybe 5%, something like that. And where I've come from is just at the foot of the hills. In the distance there you can see the Rhine Valley and one or two industrial buildings actually on the River Rhine, which is 12 kilometres away. Where I live is much closer than that, it's just at the very foot of these hills. Now, I like to think that I am built like a climber. A Sepp Kuss, perhaps, or even a Jonas Vingegaard. But the harsh reality, the inconvenient truth of the matter is that I'm just a skinny old guy with a bad knee. And that's why I have this particular bike. So here's the plan. What I've done is I've spent the last couple of months of the summer recording lots of video. I haven't edited it or anything yet. So regard this video as kind of a trailer. A preview, if you will, of what's to come over the coming weeks and months. I will endeavour to show you the Gain's capabilities and its limitations, not that there are many limitations, by taking it out on various trips to places in the Odenwald that you might enjoy visiting. I'll be aiming to make these videos interesting. So this is the point where the American division crossed the river. As you can see, they built concrete ramps afterwards for resupply. And it's kind of difficult to imagine what that must have been like now, because I don't think it was on a post. The guys in the small boats would have been under machine gun fire, heavy mortars, etc. Difficult to imagine today. If possible, informative. And let me put it this way, I'll be doing about between 6 and 8 episodes depending on the weather in September, and this is the only one that I will be doing where I would not need the assist on the Gain to do it. Okay, so if I was riding around in this kind of environment all the time, I wouldn't buy a Gain. Don't buy a Gain. But if you're going to do the kind of thing that I'll show you in the other episodes and you have a bad knee like I have or something similar, maybe buy again. Also, scenic. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you downtown Lorsch and the famous Lorsch Abbey, UNESCO World Heritage Site, no less. And they've even put some colourful lanterns out for you. And if you're really lucky, they may even be entertaining. Now, one of the things I've learned about the Odenwald in medieval times is that the place was kind of infested with dragons. And one of them lived here. And the dragons that lived here in the Odenwald had generally a bad reputation. They were always going around setting fire to things and eating people and generally being a bit of a nuisance. Also, spoiler alert, I may not always let the truth get in the way of a good story. So the alternative version of how the rocks got here goes like this. Long time ago there were two giants lived here, one on the Felsberg and one over on the neighbouring hill, and these two giants didn't get on. Apparently one of them was always playing his music too loud or parking in his neighbour's driveway and stuff like that. So anyway, things came to a head and a fight broke out, and the two giants started throwing rocks at each other. Now, being giants, the rocks that they threw were rather big, and the giant on the hill over there had more rocks than the Felsberg giant, so he won. And it is said that the Felsberg giant is buried somewhere under these rocks. So here are some clips from the videos that I took over the summer. It'll give you an idea of what you can expect in the forthcoming videos and help you make up your mind whether or not you want to watch them. Enjoy. And there's only really one course it's not so good on. I can imagine somebody thinking about buying a Gain because they're getting on a bit and or they have a niggling injury like I have. And you think to yourself, maybe the motor will allow me to keep up with the group I ride with of younger, fitter people. And I can understand why you might think that. But the motor cuts out at 25 kilometres an hour. The group you're trying to keep up with will be doing probably 35. And when you go above 25, you are basically riding a heavy road bike. And it doesn't do that job. It's the only job it doesn't do, but it doesn't do that one. Okay, so to give you an idea of orientation, that's where I've just come from, down in the Rhine Valley. So to get into the Odenwald, I need to get up here every time, and there are various routes you can use every few kilometres. The climbs, steady climbs of about 6 to 8 kilometres. Varying in steepness, today's was about 6 kilometres, and the average gradient was, I guess, about 6%. Well worth it though, it's beautiful up here once you're up in the plateau. Over there is where my wife's horse lives, and if you could see past these telephone masts there, you would see Frankfurt on the horizon, but it's a bit misty today. This is Orbea Schloss. So Orbea Schloss is one of the better preserved and rebuilt Schlosses in the area. Quite impressive. The Biergarten, unfortunately, is closed today, so we shall visit another time. Stopping for a swift lunch break. To take in the scenery, that's where we've cycled up from. So I'm making my way down the path on the Odenwald side of the hill from the memorial. It's a pretty rough path. I've never been up here before, and it's kind of right on the edge of the Gain's comfort zone, even with these chunky tyres. So this is typical Odenwald country. As you can see, it's very lush, very rural, very rolling terrain. You hardly spend any time cycling on the flat here. And you've got to watch out for hazards such as walkers and hikers on some of the quieter roads like this one. And if you're lucky enough to stay the night here, you will find it has a wonderful restaurant and superb wine. It will empty your piggy bank, however. I have found the gravel tyres to be a really good idea, a really good investment, because I frequently find myself cycling up long tarmac climbs like this one, only to arrive up at the plateau and find that the tarmac turns to gravel. That's one of the hazards you've got to watch out for on these little Odenwald roads. Yes, so now we're outside the castle grounds and I am in search of the Fountain of Youth. When I read about this place, I thought, Fountain of Youth, I could do with some of that. I'm getting a bit old and wrinkly, so I need to go and visit that place for sure. Now you would think, Fountain of Youth, fairly straightforward. You find the fountain, you take a drink, youthfulness is restored. And I could do with some of that. But it's not that simple. It's a complicated, in fact I would argue, an overcomplicated fountain of youth. Okay, so just to be clear, I'm not breathless with excitement because we're nearly at the restaurant. That's it, just up ahead of us there. I'm breathless because that climb was 10–11% in places. All right for these guys, but seriously, I'd have really struggled up there on a regular bike. So the Gain gives me a freedom that I wouldn't otherwise have. So here we are, we're at the summit of the Mellebogus. In the middle of the trees there you can see Alsbach Schloss, and beyond that the village of Alsbach, which is where I've ridden up from. 5 kilometers almost exactly, 400 plus meters in climbing. One of the many things that I like about the Odenwald is, even on a hot day like this, there are some good areas, wooded areas, where you can get some relief from the heat, and the roads are nice and quiet. This morning I have made an important change to the bike's setup, and it's not the gearing, it's not the brakes or anything like that, it's an accessory to make it more suitable for a Scottish person going on a bike ride. So what I'm going to do this afternoon is to cycle south, which is upstream, along the riverbank from Gernsheim, and visit a couple of places you might find interesting along the way. Well, this is most exciting. It's been a good long time since I've been on a ferry of any description. We're nearly there already. Good, I didn't have time to get seasick. Well, this is more than I'd anticipated actually. It's like there's a whole little community down here. If you didn't know better, you would think that this is a seaside resort, complete with swan. Anything up to 6%, medium assist max, and that's going to extend the range quite significantly, as you've just seen. Yeah, still at the Fürstenlager. The place is usually busier than this, but it's a Monday during the school holidays, so everything's closed apart from that little kiosk that I showed you earlier. I rarely, if ever, do the fast descending thing for various reasons. You'd miss all these views for a start. If you come speeding down here, you've got to have your concentration absolutely full on. Welcome to Odenwald, Orbea. This is my Orbea Gain, and this is the Odenwald. Now's maybe a good time to tell you a little more about myself. My name's Bill, I'm 68 years old. I bought my Orbea Gain about 3 years ago because I was unable to get up to places like this with my bad knee. I'll tell you more about that in future videos, but for me the Gain has been a game changer, no question about it. Tell you more in future videos. So that should give you a pretty reasonable idea of what to expect in the upcoming videos. Perhaps it will also help you make your mind up whether or not you want to watch them. I hope you do, and thank you for watching this one. Maybe see you next time. Now take a look at this. What a beautiful old MG. You do see some real well looked after classics around here. Not so much now in the autumn, they tend to get put away for the winter. But in the summer you see all sorts, often clubs going on tours around the area. In fact, I saw a tour with a very interesting car in it the other day. Yeah, that MG was a cracker. I actually saw an old DeLorean the other day. Remember DeLoreans? Back to the Future, Doc Brown's DeLorean. Did you know that Doc Brown's DeLorean only had 100 miles on the clock? Do you know why that is? Well, you see, he only drove it from time to time.